Aliens, ghosts, the supernatural, conspiracies. A cup of coffee? Welcome to Caffeinated Conspiracies. I'm your host, Glenn.
And I'm your host, Omer. We look at the eye-opening, the crazy, the unexplained. Do we give you answers?
No. But do we shed some light on the weird and wonderful?
Also, no. But we do look at different theories, plausible solutions, and even come up with our own.
We aren't experts, ufologists, or scientists, but we are open-minded individuals and have an interest in the unknown.
So put us in your pocket, grab a coffee, and let's dive into this week's episode.
I'm not going to lie, it's good to be back doing this sort of thing. For those that are listening, this may be the first time you've ever heard of me and Omer doing a show together, but we used to do one many years ago, it feels like now, but we're back. And in this show, me and Omer are going to be looking at conspiracies, supernatural, ghost stories, aliens, everything that's pretty much out there. And I mean, where better to start than the Ark of the Covenant? I mean, it's like one of the biggest mysteries in all of civilization. You know, we've got like the pyramids, which are coming up. We've got it. It's lined up, ready to come, but we don't want to spoil anything. But we're going to start with the Ark of the Covenant. I mean, Omer,
if
just off the top of
Harrison
your head.
Ford can figure it out, I think we can too.
I was going to say, let's put a timer down to see how long it takes to mention it. No, Omer, just sort of off the top of your head, without looking at any sort of research that you've done, just a brief overview of the Ark of the Covenant for you. What is it? What do you think of when you hear Ark of the Covenant?
Oh, we've already cut Indiana Jones off the list.
Yeah, you've already done that now. You've got to think.
Nah, it's like the first thing that always comes to my head is it's the weirdest religious thing ever. Like, every religious text has always been codified, edited, changed. There's a few that haven't, but you've got one that was pretty much lightning by God on a rock. They put it in a box and lost it. Like, how clever is humanity? You've got literally the writing of God to prove your God exists, and we lost it. Don't know where it is.
I mean, I understand misplacing your AirPods. I understand misplacing your PlayStation controller. But the most holiest of objects, the Ten Commandments, how have they been misplaced? We will get into it in a little bit in the show. This is just sort of like a brief little overview. I mean, for me, Ark of the Covenant, like you say, it's one of those things you hear of I went to a Catholic school growing up, Catholic primary school, and we were told the stories of the Ten Commandments and how Moses went up some mountain and come down with these basically giant slabs. He must have been hench as, bringing these two massive stone slabs down and going, these are the Ten Commandments. I reckon there was 15, but he couldn't carry the last one, so he just got left on top of the mountain.
I mean, as far as we know, that it could have gone all the way to 20. Just like he just skipped leg day.
He just skipped leg day. And then obviously he was when they come down and they've got this magical gold box that they put it in. Bearing in mind it was made of wood and they coated it in gold, just to put some rocks in it. I mean, I do want to say, before we go any further, that we're not trying to sort of say that religion's wrong or stupid or anything like that. We're just very open-minded and we like to look at things from a religious point of view and also from the cynical point of view that we have. And obviously, I don't know about you, but doing the research for this took me down some crazy rabbit holes. I was, I at the time of recording this, before we've launched the episode, today is one of the warmest days of the year. So me and Omer are sweating. There's thunderstorms outside. So if we do get, it's smited while we're reading, while we're doing this show, it's going to be our one and only episode. Smitten. I know, yeah. I'm smitten on you, Omer. I'm smitten on you.
God is smitten with us.
I mean, my research really did send me down some crazy rabbit hole. I started off by looking at one video on TikTok, and then before I knew it, I was looking at all these Joe Rogan videos with all these people that are coming on, talking about the Ark of the Covenant, how it was built, why it was built, where it is, where it's hidden, and what it was used for. To the point that I found a YouTube video where I watched an entire 2 hour long documentary on it about the whole Book of Exodus and the building of the Ark and where it came from, and a lot of it was very interesting. At the same time, I'm thinking a lot of this is
the only people that can touch it. There was a lot of. Not only was it intricately built, very thing, like only certain people could touch it. It was just like insane. And like apparently animals could have taken it.
Yeah, I mean, going here off my research, so it was constructed by the Israelites, the actual Ark of the Covenant. We're focusing more on that than we are the Ten Commandments. Let's just make sure we're putting it out there. This box was made to house the commandments.
Was it the commandments and the staff of Moses? No, Aaron's rod.
Yeah, but obviously the Israelites built this after they fled from Egypt, but that's still something that's very heavily debated today. I mean, if I'm fleeing anywhere, the last thing I want to be doing is stopping for a couple of days and building a box. I'm not. I'm going to keep going. I'm fleeing for my life. But the one thing, and me and you have said it in our personal conversations with each other, that religion is take everything you hear with a pinch of salt, because we know stories can get twisted and we have false memories, and I could tell you a story now of something we've done and it might not have been exactly the same as that, but because your brain has forgotten those little bits of information, it fills it in with the bits that I've said that I think were true, so we both now believe that same story. I think that's what these stories from the Bible were, is people forgot what really happened, and then people are just sort of talking, putting the stories together and going, oh yeah, I remember that. No, you don't. It was a false memory. But your brain, it's very clever, and it's tricked you to think that that's reality and that's the real thing. I mean, that going way off sort of our plan of how we want to do the episode. That's one of my theories, by the way.
We'll do the Mandela effect on a different episode.
We will definitely do the Mandela effect. But just going through the Ark and sort of what it was, it was essentially a wooden box coated in gold. Now, one of the documentaries I was looking at has something like 60 ounces of gold on it or something along those lines.
Yeah, because it was golden plated box, and then
with
the
a
top
gold
was
lid
made of solid gold with like two cherubs on top of it. So it's like, not only is it a wooden box with gold on it, you've got a solid gold lid on top, holding it all down. And then you've got to add in the weight of the stones, the two tablets with the Ten Commandments, and the staff that was in there. And anything else that we don't know was in there, because no one opened it after they built it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I heard of the measurements, and when they were telling you how big it was in this documentary, I got my tape measure out, I'm not going to lie, and I just wanted to see for myself, what sort of size are we looking at? So, just to give you an idea, it was 3.75 feet long, 2.25 feet wide, and 2.25 feet high.
Okay.
So I
like
mean,
a chest
it's
of drawers.
it's not a small box, and I mean, this was carried across basically across the desert. Let's put it this way: the Israelites at this point were nomads. They had no home. They'd
this is straight after they'd fled Egypt.
They've fled Egypt. They've got nowhere to call home. They are just now wandering through the desert. Some guy in some dusty sandals and a cloth telling them where to go. And the priests are carrying this massive box. The lid itself must have weighed so much. It was made entirely of gold. But back then, where have these Israelites that are nomads, where have they got this gold from? Because just to give you a perspective, that an ounce of gold back then would have been 20,000 golden wedding rings. There wasn't that many Israelites walking through the desert at the time. So where has all this gold come from? How?
To be fair, there was quite a lot of them. And when they left Egypt, they didn't just walk out with like what was there. They did ransack it a little. So they did have gold. I agree with you, like that's still a lot of gold to have, but they did have gold.
Yeah.
like whether that was idols, rings, like other jewelry. Like they would have had some with, and like
Yeah, that I understand that they would have had some gold, but enough really to melt it down and cover this box.
I mean, covering the box isn't the hard bit. It's the impossible lid. It's like the lid itself. So you've left Egypt. You're on a wander
Yep.
towards Israel, basically,
Yep.
right? You've walked through a desert. You've walked through a river where the water wasn't there. But not only have you had time to stop to build the box, but somebody has started a goddamn forge to smelt the
Yep.
gold into this large lid.
And I mean, if you're trying to lay low, you don't want the Egyptians to find you. You're staying covered. Like, someone's going to hear you hammering away, building a box, melting gold.
Even if you didn't do it by like melting, like hammering the gold, you just did it as like
Yeah.
a cast. It's still a long time to build a cast with that intricate detail of the way the cherubs on the top are described.
Yeah.
So it's like, where did they have to find the tools? Like, did they stop, build a city halfway, and be like, we'll just park here for a couple of months?
That's the thing, and I think a lot of the things I've watched and listened into, they haven't talked about this in detail of how was it built, when was it built, where did all the gold come from. We just get told, and even in the book of
just
Exodus,
told.
we just
Yeah.
get told that they built this box that was covered in gold. Great, that's really interesting, but my brain now, in the age that we live in at this moment in time, is we want to know how things are done, why are they done, what is its purpose. I mean, that we are now in the age of technology. I mean, back then obviously it was very different, but now we want to know why. So why did they build the box? Where did they get the gold from? How did they smelt it down? How did who come up with the idea to build the box? And then who come up with the idea of putting two poles through it that everyone could carry it? And then
So that was the reason for the box, because not everyone could carry the tablets. You had to be, I'm trying to remember what it was. I wrote it in my notes somewhere. But you had to be like true Israelite, son of somebody, I can't remember. And if you touched it, you would literally die.
Yeah.
So the box was to dampen that, but it still bled out the box.
yeah,
So, and they had oxen pulling it for like a vast majority of the path. So they were like, they just tacked it on, pulled them along.
well, one thing we've got to look at as well is, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, like, you were saying about the construction of it, like the where and how. These are the same Israelite slaves that we used to build the pyramids, and we still can't explain them.
But on our pyramids episode, we will go very much into this
we
and
will
explore
try,
it very well.
But I'm
Yeah, we
just
won't have
saying,
answers
if
for
they-
you. We don't have answers now. this is just
If
two
they
guys having a
had,
cup of coffee
like-
trying to make sense of it all.
If you had the knowledge of how the pyramids were built, that we in today's society are like, how did you do it back then? Like, they definitely had the skills to build a wooden chest out of found items.
Yeah,
I don't think they wouldn't have had the skills to do it. It's just the material.
yeah. That's
where
the
did so
thing,
much
you know.
gold come
I suppose this point is it's one of those things that we'll never know. We'll never get the answers for, and even if we do, we probably wouldn't get them in our lifetime. Which it's one of those things. Unfortunately, there's so many weird and wonderful things in the world, and so many crazy stories that we will never get the answers. And I suppose that's what's made us want to make this show, is that we don't have the answers. We're just interested in these stories. We'd love to know. I'd love for someone to go, you know what, mate? I know the true story. This is how they built it. That's where the wood come from. That's where the gold come from. I suppose at that point, then it wouldn't be interesting. You wouldn't be like, cool. All right, nice one. See you later. I don't know a lot for the Loch Ness Monster now.
I generally still want to see somebody touch the tablets. That's not accepted.
I mean, that is
me.
one of the things that we'll go into as well as we get a bit further in. I mean, just the whole story of the Ark. Then, I mean, we have to go into the fact that we've talked about its construction. We've talked about that. We need to talk about what it was as well. Now, many people that have know the story of the Ark of the Covenant know one of its biggest parts which was the fall of Jericho, the walls of Jericho. So they walked around the city of Jericho once a day for 7 days with the Ark of the Covenant. But on the final day, they walked around it 7 times while 7 priests blew 7 trumpets of rams. Okay? And then the walls fell. Now, can that really be a box that someone's just walked around a few times and it's powered up these horns? I mean, as video game fans, that sounds definitely
wait. As video game fans, I remembered why it like really fascinated me. The contents of the box, and I've just found it in my notes, was the 10 Commandments, the Aaron's rod, which was the brother of Moses, and the pot of manna. I mean, if that's not from an RPG, I don't know.
That's a loot chest. That's a loot chest that's just being constantly run around a building, and you have to go and catch it, right?
So they're all legendary items.
Exactly. You know, it's one of those stories that I don't know. I've got to take it with a pinch of salt, because these walls at the time, they say, couldn't be toppled. They were immense. They were so strong that nothing could knock them down. They said that about the Titanic. Again, something we'll go into later in the series. But how have they collapsed walls by charging up at the box, which has charged up these horns that they've used sound to knock down the wall?
Could it be? I saw that and I had 2 answers. The easy way out is the God theory.
We're not meant to have answers. That's the whole thing, Omen.
No.
You just ruined the show now.
They're not answers, because I have no proof of either of them. It's the God theory.
Sorry.
Because, you throw... God's like, they hit the special number, 777, that's me, I'm in, I'll destroy them for you. Or my other theory was the horns that really kept bugging me, because it was like, we know today that sound waves can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Now imagine a certain frequency just being pulsated around the wall for 7 days.
Yeah.
Just slowly crumbling the wall.
I suppose you could
look
at the
right frequency to destroy the connections. Yeah. So you ignore the arc altogether. You've got pounding feet, vibrating the wall from below. You've got large horns blowing, so there's resonant frequency going through the wall consistently.
You've already got a battle going on.
Turns. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I have, for some reason in my mind, and it would make a fantastic meme or somewhere along the line. Do you like when they're all blowing the horns at the walls of Jericho? Do you reckon it's like that scene in Shrek? And the walls fall. That's how I picture it. I'm not going to lie, that just popped in my head the other day, and I was like, that's funny that. I'm saving that for the show. People listening might not find it funny, but you can let us know in the comments. But, I mean, there's so many stories, and then you've got these battles that happened, and the Ark was taken in as a weapon, and then one day the Israelites settled. They found a place to live, and, they treasured the Ark. It was this thing that everybody loved. But, as you said earlier, anybody who touched it pretty much died. Or came down with plague or blindness. There was people that had been infested with rats. There were so many different things that had happened to certain people wherever the Ark had gone, that it was always on holy land. Now, as I was trying to say before, I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier, but as I was saying before, the golden lid is known as the seat of mercy, which was meant to be God's throne. And according to Noah, God said, wherever the ark goes, I am with you. That's my throne. That is my connection to earth. I am now tethered to you, and I will come with you, and all that jazz.
That's the weirdest thing. I just got this weird image of the king just sat on a law book and be like, I have the rules. They're under my ass. If you ever need to know them, I gotta get up, take the lid off, and then tell them to you.
But now you can sort of use this theory with other stories. Look at the stone that's under the throne of the coronation. Is that because of this is meant to be the throne of God? and he was sat on top of the Ten Commandments. Does that mean these stones are somewhere that, if we sit upon them, they do have some sort of special biblical power? And have they as we know, we're both supernatural fans as well. Are these parts where God has laid a hand on them and they've been bestowed with power? You know, we live in a world, I think, where we love mystery. Because let's face it, if we didn't have religion and all this, and yes, okay, it's caused a lot of wars, and the Ark of the Covenant was part of a lot of these wars back in 360 BCE or whatever. You know, these things happened, but without them, history would be boring. We wouldn't have all these fantastic things that we look at today that keep us all still wondering. I mean, these stories are going to outlive us. The Ark of the Covenant story, think how old it is. It's billions of years old. And millions, you know. Thousands.
The Ark of the
Hundreds
Covenant,
of
like Jerusalem was somewhere around 600 BC. So you're talking 27,000 years ago.
It feels like millions of years ago, you know. I was there, you know. I know what it's like, yeah. But it's one of those things. These stories have already outlived us, and they will outlive us as long as time goes on. And we will constantly keep looking for these things. Now, let's go into some theories about everything. But before that, we're just going to take a very quick break.
And we're back. So now we're just going to have a look at the theories that are out there at the moment. So on your research, you said you found a lot of wonderful, like, weird rabbit holes.
Yeah. So some of them I even found today, but prior to recording, that haven't made it into my notes. Well, I'm going to go for the ones that I've got on my notes first. So we as we've said, the Ark of the Covenant disappeared. We don't know where it went. We know that it got stolen in the middle of a battle, and then it was brought back by the Philistines, then brought back to the Israelites. But after that, it just sort of phased out, you know.
So from what I found, last recorded official recording of it was when the Babylonians attacked Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're like, we don't know what happened to it.
Yeah. So a lot of the theories out there are the Israelites took it into the mountains and hid it there and buried it so it was safe. Some of them are that the Queen of Sheba went to Babylon and had a son with one of the king. I can't quite remember his name, and I do apologize. Oh, sorry, no, I have got it. So there's the story of the Ark being in Ethiopia, which I'll go into in a minute. This is backed by the story that the Queen of Sheba visited King Solomon around about 3,000 years. She bore a son with him, and he later returned to take the Ark back to Ethiopia with him, which is apparently where the Ark of the Covenant still is today, being guarded in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Our Lady Saint Mary of Zion in the Axum, and here that there's a priest that will watch upon the Ark of the Covenant, but they're only allowed in there for so many years. They're not allowed to go anywhere. They're not allowed to see it. They're not allowed to lay their eyes on it. And these people are coming out blind.
Oh yeah, so there's that story of Uzzah who touched it, where like that's where I got the story from. Yeah. But, like on that same thought, like when we were doing this research, you sent me that video from the History Channel.
Yes.
And it was like voiceovered by the Lawrence Fishburne, the voice of Morpheus. The face of Morpheus. And then I read I'd read it's from, it's in the Cathedral of St. Mary of Zion. I was like, is that a coincidence you sent me a video of Morpheus and it's in Zion?
Yeah,
I was like, I know, that's Matrix glitch.
Plan that for you. I planned that. And another one I've got here as well is that the Ark was found by the Knights Templar. And they took it to England, and then at that point they became, basically they were told to be killed, weren't they? And they were captured and all these things, and then they managed to escape. And a big story is that a lot of the Knights Templar treasure is on an island which I have a very big fascination with. I love a series that is based on it, that they're digging on it at the moment, and it's the place called Oak Island. They believe that the Ark of the Covenant is there, that they've been digging on this island for years to try and find the treasure that is buried there. Again, Oak Island is an episode that I will be going into at some point later in the series. It's probably going to be me doing all the talking again. Oh man, just be sat there going, yeah, sounds good.
I'll look into facts about it.
But I mean, they say that there's the Ark of the Covenant was put there, but again, it's not been proven, and we've got nothing to back it up, no theories, no nothing. Another one is as well, and then like I say, this is one that I heard today, is that it's an island. We have some mounds, I can't remember what they're called, but they're like perfectly built echo chambers in Ireland, and people are saying that they were built to house the Ark of the Covenant as well because of the power that it possesses, and that's where it is. And again, another one that's fascinated me, and it does seem really interesting. So there's some of my theories that I've heard, but again, no proof to back any of them up, no solid evidence. But what about you? What have you heard?
I was going to say, just like the one that everyone knows is, it being in the church in Ethiopia, the St. Mary's Zion. They sort of perpetuate most of the theories because, like, they say it's there but won't let anyone see it.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone still believes it's somewhere else, which kind of does feel weird. It's like either they have it and it's that dangerous they don't want anyone to see it, or they don't have it and they're like, oh, you can't see it, and it's just never there.
Exactly.
There was a few theories that came across mine. One of them was that it was... So the one from the History Channel one that you sent me was like, their theory was like the Dead Sea Scrolls actually point to a tomb where a lot of old treasure from that point was put, and they've not got the rights to dig there. They have a location, they're just not allowed to dig, and until they get that, they can't prove it's there. But everything else sort of matches up with all the locations they were given. Another one was it's actually at the bottom of the Dead Sea. I saw that on a thesis, and it sort of had a lot of credit to it because the person who did it, and I should really have kept the source so we could cite it later. But given sort of the density of the Dead Sea and the fact that the Dead Sea Scrolls were very close to the Dead Sea because they were found in like caves not far from it, and the Dead Sea Scrolls mention the Ark.
Yeah.
So, like, given its sort of religious power, like, what else would push people away? Away. So we say it's the salt in the science will tell you it's the salt within the Dead Sea. It's that dense. It keeps you afloat. But that, on that same vein, it would be a perfect place to hide it down at the bottom of the Dead Sea.
I like that theory. That's a good one. I like that one. That's really interesting. Actually,
Totally.
That's tickled my fancy on that one. I kind of like that. Any more that you've heard?
There was a few others. Like, there was a theory it never left Jerusalem. Yeah. So when the Babylonians attacked, it was, I think you mentioned it earlier as well, like it was hidden.
Taken into the caves and buried and like hidden, yeah.
Yeah, but like you've got to imagine if you're doing that quickly, it's easy to forget where you buried it. So
yeah,
still in
you've
those
rushed
mountains.
it, yeah. Exactly.
Then there's the theory that when it was taken by the Babylonians, that they didn't see the significance in it because they didn't care about the religion at the point. They saw like a chest with a lid of gold that could kill people. You're going to hide that and be like, that's a weapon for another war.
Yep.
So there's another theory that they had it and it was just left in Babylon, hidden somewhere.
Again, another good side theory. But what about yourself? Have you got any of your own that you've... I mean, obviously there's no credibility to ours. These are just us coming up with some outlandish ideas. I mean, what about you? Don't you dare say in a box in a US museum somewhere hidden from everybody.
It's in a crate with top men. I mean, if any country was going to do it, it would be the US.
Yeah.
Like,
That's no offense to you US listeners. We just,
I don't mean the people of the US. I mean the government of the US. So
yeah.
no attack on like US citizens at all, but your
No,
government can be
it's
sketchy.
yeah. Which we've got quite a few episodes coming up about, Roswell Area 51, and we all know what happened then. But
But no, my strong theory is like you got to even plated gold, and the fact that like the bit below the plate would have sort of corroded, like the wood would have decayed
yeah,
because they didn't have any sort of really good means to maintain wood back then. That's why a lot of structures that survive today are made of stone or something more like
yeah,
sturdy. So I think personally, given everything that I've read, that at some point, like in its many travels, the wood gave out. Everyone was too scared to touch it, so the contents are out, and the contents in the box are in two different locations. So
yeah.
I do think the church, the Saint Mary of Zion Cathedral, does have the box. I don't think they have the contents.
Right. Okay. Um, for me, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love that. That is good. That they've definitely got something tangible.
It also
The
explains
box is
why
gone.
you've got sort of locations all over of different places it could be, and there's a lot of like I say, the Dead Sea Scrolls openly say it's here. They
Yeah,
give a location, they say it's there, but they can't dig. Chances are they're going to dig, and they are going to find one of the contents. Maybe
yeah,
the commandments, maybe the rod of Aaron, maybe the pot of manna. Who knows? Something is there, and it sort of then ties all the ideas that you've read so far together. Because then, if you put like, because you've got two tablets, the rod, and then the pot of manna, that's four items. Then the ark itself, so that's
yeah,
five items now scattered. You can like
yeah,
easily say it's each piece is in all of those locations because the gold is going to last. We know that, but the
yeah,
wood was never like the wood would have decayed and fell apart, and because like not many people could touch it when it fell apart, was there anyone like worthy to touch it at the time?
I think for me, what I have put into thought is I don't think I'm going a bit further back here. I don't think they built it. I think when they left Egypt, they found it and they took it. The box was already built. And that's the story that they're telling is, we were told to build this magical box. Because I know no one's not claimed anything about this box, and we've not. But think of all that treasure that was in Egypt. Think of all we know when we think of Egypt, we think of gold, we think of vast treasures, we think of pharaohs, the pyramids, and the whole city was made to look as if it was made of gold, and we've seen growing up as kids, and we've all gone through it. Is like the fake gold nuggets that we all used to get, that sort of stuff. I think that all the gold that we believed it was that's what it was. It was this little fake gold stuff that we knew that was made, and they've used that and coated a box in this fake gold. And what they've done is as they've left, they've gone, we need to take as much as we possibly can to survive. And they've just piled things, and they've taken this box and they've run with it. And Moses, when he's got to this point, he's like, I've just literally led this rebellion and run away, and I have no idea what to do. Where am I going? What am I doing? I need to come up with something to, these people are now looking to me to lead them, to guide them. And he's come up with this story going, guys, God's given me these commandments. We're going to use this box that we've got to house them, and we're going to travel with them. And he's just walked, and he's just hoped for the best. We've all done it. It's literally called winging a plan. We've all done it. We've all winged
a plan. Expect the plan to fail.
Yes, exactly. And I think it just went on a little bit too far, because don't forget, and this is no offense to any race, religion, or anything like that, but back then, religion was used to control and scare people. let's say it as it is. You know, that's my theory. That's always been my theory, and they've used that, and Moses has used that to sort of create this plan to get these people to follow him, and in hopes that, you know, he wants to save them. I don't get me wrong. I don't think he's done anything maliciously. He's got this plan. He wants to save these people. These are his people. He wants to save them. He thinks he's doing what's best. We've all been there. We've all tried to do something that we thought that that's the best thing to do. It might not have been the best course of action, but, you know, he freed his people. His people are free, but they've got nothing. So he's got to give them something, a hope, some sort of glimmer of hope. The rest of the stories that have come from it have just been, again, as we said before, false memories. People, an event happening, our brain not putting everything together and not remembering it right, one person thinking of it as one thing and saying, do you remember when we walked around that wall for 7 days and it fell down? Oh, those horns were great. Oh, you know what? That music was fantastic. And just as those walls crumbled, they probably didn't even crumble. You know, probably a bit of wall fell down where someone's been attacking it for a bit. And that's where they've managed to go in and raid the place and, you know, and survive. And I do think it could have just been luck of the draw all the way along. And, you know, someone has been on, you know, some sort of entity has been on their side throughout it all. Do I think it's God? I don't know. Do I think there's some other spirit following them? I don't know. But again, I don't have answers. This is just a theory that I've come up with.
Your theory takes the religion out of it. And
Moses is one lucky son of a.
Yeah.
That's just, it. He's got himself a lucky rabbit's foot, right? And he's done fantastic with it. You know, he's just gone off on one, and everything somehow has just worked out for him. He's just like,
he is. By your theory, he is the luckiest motherfucker on earth, because not only did he walk them from one side from Africa basically to Europe, Asia, but he somehow predicted 10 curses on Egypt in succession.
Yeah,
exactly. He did that. He somehow had his people at a river that just coincidentally split.
I think the tide had just gone down ever so slightly, and he managed to find a path. And he got to the other side as everyone got across and went, well, that was a bit of spot of luck, wasn't it? I bet I couldn't do that again.
I want to see that movie. I want to see that movie, just where he is portrayed as the luckiest person alive.
Let's go back to the ark itself. Step away from our theories, because ours are just out there. We know that there's no solid evidence to them, but we're going to go to the theories that have been put forward with some evidence. In your mind, then, Omer, on everything you've heard, everything you've seen, do you believe the ark is real?
So, like I say, I'm both a skeptic but open-minded to be proven wrong at any point. From what I've come across, I believe the ark, as in the item, existed. I do not believe at this point the power that it's been told to possess exists. And like I say, open-minded and willing to be accept when I'm proven wrong, because that happens more often than not. But I do believe something that everyone was after did exist. There was the box with something in it. Given that once it was closed, it was never opened again. We have no idea what was in it. We've just got the list of the technically 4 items.
Yeah.
But I believe a box was put together and moved. What was in it, where it went, is the big mystery. So I do believe it existed as a physical item. For all we know, the measurements are even wrong, and it was probably just Pandora's box, just a small one.
I think I believe it was real. And I do, from what I've seen, and I do believe that it could be in Ethiopia. I really do. Only because, the Queen of Sheba and the King of Solomon, it was very, very much detailed of her visit and the fact that she had a child with King Solomon. Them taking the ark isn't as much recorded, but I think it's something that could have happened. We've seen it before where you get the royals got given gifts and things like that. I sort of do think it could be in Ethiopia. Again, I don't think it's this all-powerful box. I literally do think they've got a cabinet that's just got a cloth on it, and when the priest who sits there goes blind, that's because he's got nothing to do, and he's just sat in a room staring at a wall, and he's just become ill. Um, do I think we'll ever find out what the Ark really was? No, I don't. I think it's going to be one of those great mysteries that will never get solved.
It's kind of like most of these mysteries we're going to cover in this series. It's one of those that you kind of don't want to be disappointed, so it's better not to know.
Yeah, I kind of like living in the mystery, and that's definitely one. This is definitely one that I think if we got the answer, I'd be upset because it's not the answer I wanted. I don't think it's all these magical things that we like to believe, and we've seen documentaries on, and we've heard stories on, all these things. But I do think if we ever found out, we would be very disappointed with the real story of the Ark of the Covenant. So I think it's just better that it lives in history as it is. It lives in this mysterious world of all these crazy things that go on. But yeah, what about you? Do you believe? Do you believe, Homer? Do you believe?
I am a great believer in a different deity. Actually, no deities. I mean, I gotta believe it existed. The powers that are imbued to it, like, highly, to me, I haven't been given enough evidence, but that's what religion and faith is all about. It's belief without proof.
Yeah.
But, like, the skeptic in me is just like, belief without proof is just also an insane way to live. Somebody tells you there's a fire in your building without seeing it, you're gonna get out of that building. So it's like they're kind of right on that sense, but also if I get out of the building and I don't see a fire, I'm just annoyed.
Yeah, exactly. So I think at this point, I think what we need to say is we've not given you any answers. we've gone on and come up with some crazy theories. Heard some real theories as to where it could be. What we hope. I mean, honestly, hope we never find it. I hope we never know the answer. I just hope it's one of those things that will live forever as it is, and us all trying to guess, to keep looking for it and never find it, and just live on that hope that we will find this ark with the real Ten Commandments inside, or what.
I don't want the Ten Commandments, just the rod of Aaron, because that's meant to be the staff that Moses used to rain down the plagues. I mean, that in itself is all you want. Just some next person annoys you, just like, frogs on you.
But I think I'm going to say thank you so much for tuning in to this, our first episode of our new show. The series is going to be 10 episodes long, and if you guys like it, we'll do another 10 and keep going on and on and on, because we love this, and we do make it mostly for ourselves because it's a passion. This is a passion project. We don't get anything from it, but we can only keep making this show if you guys listen, like, comment, share it, tell your friends about it. What we're going to try and make some TikToks from what we talk about as well, and
send us your theories as well.
Yeah, send us your theories. We want to know what you guys think.
If there's something that we haven't touched on, or we've said something that sort of piqued your interest, throw it at us, and maybe in the future we'll sort of cover it again and sort of look down that rabbit hole with you. Definitely. We don't got to do this alone.
No, we're definitely not in this alone. We want to build a fan base of people that are like-minded individuals as ourselves, who are open to this. As Omer said, he's open-minded. I'm open-minded with some things, and some things I can be skeptical, and vice versa. Omer can sometimes be skeptical about certain things and be open-minded about others. So We want you guys to let us know what you think. Join us, listen in. Let us know what you've liked, what you've not liked, because we can only make this for you guys listening. And even if you just share to one friend, and that one friend listens, we know we've made friends. We're friends now. You've joined the team. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm out of coffee. Have we given you answers? Have we left you with more questions than you came in with?
You can let us know on all our socials. Links are in the description. But be sure to leave us a great review to please the overlords.
You can find all our episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you tune in next week when we have a fresh pot of coffee, some more crazy theories. But for now, I've been Glenn.
And I've been Omer. See you next time on Caffeinated Conspiracies.